Greetings, YouTube. It's your favorite DM Fish Suit here, along with my buddy Vlor. Vlor, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
2 episodes of Frost Maiden in this one. It's kind of an unusual Unconscious and Dying for us.
Yeah, it's gonna flow really good though.
Yeah, because we don't have to go to the stupid campaign that neither of us liked. I mean, we were both just ready for it to be over. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, so this episode of Unconscious and Dying is just going to cover 2 basically sessions of Frost Maiden. And that's really the reason that we haven't met in quite some time here, Flora. It's been almost a month, I think, or over a month. Because we finished off our Lost Mine of Phandelver campaign. We are just about, in just 2 days from the time we're recording this, we're going to be over doing our session 0 of the Storm King's Thunder. But the campaign that we are right smack dab in the middle of is Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. And Vlor, you said before we started that you remembered everything that happened, so go ahead and take it over.
Oh no, I can't be put on the spot like that. It was daytime.
Kind of, though, because it's always dark in Icewind Dale. Has that fact been tough for you to remember? As tough for you to remember as it has been for me to remember?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm having really a real difficulty reminding myself that it is like nighttime here all the time. I think it's because of the maps and the brightness of the maps, because they're depicting snow-covered villages and snowy areas, that I'm just like, in my mind's eye, it's just like a normal sunny day, but it's really like dark, overcast. When the sun's out, the most you might get is like the halo of it through thick clouds. Like, that's the type of weather we're talking about always, and having to constantly be like, oh, it's not daytime.
Maybe we should look to see if there's a way to put like a hue over the maps.
Yeah.
Maybe a tint it so that it's a little bit darker.
Or I'll just, every 15 minutes in the campaign, I'll set a timer and just remind you that it's dark.
Well, I mean, that works.
Listen,
that
I'm just spitballing here. Laura, the first of the 2 episodes we're covering started when the party made its way back into Goodmead from Dugan's Hole. And the episode started basically with your party surveying some kind of skirmish that had happened. Then the very first thing you did in this episode was you ran over and saved your buddy Olivessa's life. You saw her on the ground there. You saw Shandar Froth, who factors pretty heavily into these next 2 sessions of ours, and probably further on, honestly.
Maybe.
What? how about the repercussions of having dealt with Shandar will echo through the rest of the campaign? And
that works.
Yeah,
that
works. So tell me what you remember of this little section.
So I remember Jordy running up, kind of seeing what was going on, and then kind of freezing a little bit. And then I just ran up there and just started spamming the Spare the Dying. Gruesome scene. 5 people down. Shandar and his lumberjack buddies cheering.
Yeah.
As he was, I mean, I imagine that he was basically unscathed. That's how I would imagine it, just because of the events that occurred. But yeah, I mean, Kindar and Cleo were hanging back.
Mm-hmm.
And we saved 3 people, but
one of which was Olivessa Untapur, your contact,
the love of Jordy's life.
The love of Jordy's life. Immediately, you guys see this scene and go, "Hey, what's going on, Bird T? Thanks for being here, dude." Immediately see this scene and the whole party's going, "All right, well, something's going on here. Like, we don't buy this for an incident."
Not a second.
So you get in. You're kind of. I think that you cast a couple. Everybody got into the mead hall. You were tending to Olivessa. You got her up to her room, and she was just basically unconscious, so she had to rest. You couldn't speak to her right away.
Yeah.
But you could speak to Shandar, and so you were down at the bar, and you were like, I think you cast Zone of Truth on him, and he resisted, or he passed the save.
Yeah, Jordy was about to take him out. He was just so mad. We actually have a clip of that.
Is it
Jordy
confronting Shandar?
Yeah. He basically confronts Shandar about what actually happened.
All right, let's watch this clip.
Jordy is not happy with what he said. He kind of narrows his eyes down, gets a little close to him, he's like, I'm sorry, where were you when we were fighting two fucking giants that took your town's source of income? And then, soon as we leave, something happens? Don't get fresh with me.
Well, listen, Olivessa said you have eyes on the town speakership, but that's gonna be my job, especially now. I chased off those raiders, and now I'm gonna be town speaker of Goodmead, and there's nothing you can do about it. And he's like poking his finger in your chest.
First of all, did not want to be speaker, but you sure as hell shouldn't be speaker with this kind of attitude to the people that went out of their way to help this town. And the first thing you do is accuse us when we help. Our friend saved Olivessa and everyone that he could, and this is how you treat us. Jordy is
Wow, Laura, I didn't realize how good that was.
Yeah.
Jackson did so great there. I don't think I gave him an inspiration, but let's give him an inspiration. That was great.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, damn. Because Shandar basically was like, what are you guys doing? I just saved the town. And then I guess starts to suggest that maybe we had a part of it. Because he's a D-bag. I mean, this basically shows how much of an ass Shandar is,
It's kind of funny because you guys met Shandar, in game terms about a week ago. And you pretty much like immediately pegged him as like a very shallow, just dirtbag, right? And then we went even more into the very latest episode, which I guess we can really talk about now. Maybe not, but there's just some stuff about Shandar that's like you guys discover, and it all fits in with this narrative that you've been building on Shandar since the very first time you met him, which is like, what a fucking scumbag this guy is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely a moment where he was reveling in his scumbaggery. His alignment is shallow dirtbag.
I can see that. A couple of things about Shandar though. He rolled pretty good on the
he did, and he didn't have much of a
on the save.
It was like a wisdom save, I believe.
Charisma.
Yeah, and I think his modifier was just none, but I did roll really well, so it's like a high 16 or 17, so he avoided the zone of truth. It would be crazy to think about having the benefit of that being almost 2 full sessions ago now, Vlor, to think about if that had succeeded, like how differently this whole thing would have gone. Like, wow. Like, I know that we've maybe I'm just like sticking on this point a little too much about various things about D&D, but I love to think about that stuff.
The endless possibilities and the things that could have been different if it hadn't been for a particular role.
I mean, everything is different if he fails that role. Yeah. Everything. But he does pass, and so I think you guys were feeling pretty frustrated at this point. I think everybody was feeling pretty frustrated, with maybe the exception of Kindar, who probably got me laughing as hard as I've laughed at all during this entire campaign. Which is
we'll have a clip of that in just a minute too.
Okay.
Skipping ahead a little bit.
What's the next clip? What are you leading into for the next clip?
So, real quick, just before that last clip, Shandar said, what happened, and I immediately insight checked him. I believe everybody was thinking the exact same thing. So from the start, from when he said, we knew there was something off. But we kind of slow down a little bit. I go upstairs, put Olivessa in bed, and I want to get talking to her. So I give her a little healing word, and that's going to be where the next clip comes in.
All right. This is called Vlor's Not Just a Merchant. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
She's like coughing. Bandits. They were gonna try to seize the meat hall. Shandar saved my life.
Actually, I saved your life.
She kind of looks down and she sees like she's covered with blood. She's like, so you did more than just selling goods. Seems like you're about more than just making $1, Vlor.
Well, I can't have all of my customers dying on me.
She laughs, but then it's clear that she's, in a lot of pain still.
I think Jordy would like to have a word with you.
And even though she's like really injured and really hurt, you can see that she blushes.
Yeah.
She's
That's
like
funny.
coughing.
I thought this was a great clip. It shows the fact that people are realizing that there's more to Gusto Vlor than just a merchant. He doesn't like to put that off to anyone, but it does add a bit more complexity. And then the fact that she blushes whenever when he mentions Jordy, so that was pretty nice.
So you're right, Vlor, in saying that we went up to this like little vignette or this little scene with Olivessa. I think just like throughout that little meeting up in her room after you've sort of revived her, I think up there at that point is just you and Jordy. And you guys are talking to her, and she's at first like, Shandar saved my life, and he saved the town. I saw him do it. And more you guys are like convincing her, and you guys were already on her good side, so it didn't really take a whole lot of pushing on your side to be like, no, we have evidence. We know that it was Shandar. We know that he was involved in this in some way. You ask, and at this point, you guys are like, we need to maybe go. I can't remember the exact sequence of events. Did we then go down and look at Kindar at his new job?
Yeah,
So-
that's
So we were kind of like flashing back between these two, this very serious scene where Olivessa's coming around to the fact that there was some sort of plot involving Shandar Froth, and then down at the bar of the mead hall where Kindar is doing like Tom Cruise style cocktail bartending tricks with his mind power, his telekinesis powers. Which, like I said before, is like made me laugh harder than I've ever laughed in this campaign by far.
He did this. It was mainly to help to diffuse the situation because Shandar and Jordy were getting a bit heated, and Kindar felt it was best to get some drinks flowing to kind of reduce the situation, and it turned out to be a great moment.
I think that the sober bartender is probably like the one that's best at his job. I mean, that's just an opinion, but Kindar's not a drinker. Let's watch the clip.
When we last left you, Cleo, you were down kind of nearish the bar, and Kindar was serving up drinks. He's like Tom Cruise in Cocktail. He's like doing the shaker thing. He's like doing a bottle spin. Bottle spins.
What I was picturing, like Kindar this entire time is probably just like doing bar tricks, getting some tips,
Yeah, so she's
Completely out of character for Kindar,
I like how Sunflower's like, okay, you guys are really stupid. Like, can we play the game now?
He's lighting shots down the bar on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's
That's incredible.
I think it's important to note that
When we last
the
left
lack of Sunflower's energy is due to the fact that she had just gotten from work and was still tired.
Yeah, like Sunflower comes home from like a day of work and literally sits down at her computer, and that's when we see her. Like, she has
Yeah.
no time for resting. But it was funny because she was just like, "Oh, you guys are so dumb."
Yeah.
At,
But there was
at
there
this
was a lot of talk after that.
Yeah, so at this point, then the entire group gets together, and you guys are having to make some decision times. And I would say, like, as far as the groups that I've DM'd, you guys are somewhere in the middle as far as, like, coming up with a plan of action and executing it. I think the other group that we're part of was very much we can't come up with there's some sticking point that disallows us from coming up with any kind of a plan.
Well, that was also, the first time playing with a lot of the group.
True.
So, I mean, it was basically a learning experience for all of us, and the whole make a plan thing really doesn't come into play until you've actually got some experience and know kind of what to expect from different things. And I feel like with this group, even though, Zune doesn't have experience, I feel like he's got a great mind for planning things out.
I think that Zune just really throws himself into the character that he's playing and says, like, I'm going to make decisions based on this perspective. And I think he consistently makes those kinds of decisions, and I think that's I think you're right. It's like, that's really tough for a new player. That's tough for an experienced player, but it's tough for a new player especially. So but yeah, I mean, you guys have, with varying success, come up with plans, and then there's like two extremes in this group, I feel like, which is like the idea of a plan, or then the plan that is so like painstakingly planned out that never actually quite comes to fruition. So I feel like you're still trying to find the sweet spot in that, and we'll watch some clips coming up that will accentuate that point where it's like we had the idea of a plan and then there's consequences because we didn't think through the whole plan.
Yeah, I can tell you that from the start of us thinking about a plan, it was about 30 minutes of us talking, trying to figure out what kind of a plan we want to do.
Yeah,
because there was just so many things.
At one point, I think I even well, we should say quickly that during this time, the coin purse that Cleo lifted off of Shandar in the last time that you guys were in Goodmead comes back into focus here because I can't remember. It was just now that you found out that it was Zentarum, right? Like, it was at this moment where Kindar is handed the bag and says, "This is the symbol of the Zentarum." So you learn a little bit about the Zentarum. Yeah, for sure. Like, again, just not necessarily the dice roll isn't a lock, right, for this check for him, but he just consistently makes these, and it's like it's as if we are planning the narrative for this character to know a whole lot about a whole lot. And I promise you, it's not. I mean, these are random dice rolls. If he's missed a few, but the ones he makes, you're just like, fuck,
it's the ones that count
so much.
it's the important rolls. The important rolls, he nails them.
Yeah, he just nails them.
I don't know how. It's like pure luck, but he nails the ones that really matter,
and it makes his character like have more depth. Like, now you know that Kindar is a super well traveled person, and he knows so much. So I don't know, that's just really fun. I love that. I talked to Zuna Master about that all the time, like in our private DMs. Just like, it's so fun every time your character makes one of these rolls because it just gets a little bit better every time. But in any case, Zentarum, and then it was at this point that you found out that the coins had a certain mint as well.
Yes, I mean, it plays to the narrative. I think Kindar didn't know what the coins were, probably because of a roll didn't work out that way, but it makes sense. But then Jordy, being from the 10 towns, doing odd jobs in all of the towns, he knew, that's something that he would know and would be like, hey, these are from Targos.
Yeah, it's again, it fits into their little story that we're telling, and the characters' backgrounds just work out that way. Like, of course Kindar wouldn't know. He's only been in 10 towns for like 2 months or something like that. And Jordy's like, yeah, these are Targus coins. So you find out both those things, and now it's like, okay, now something's definitely going on here. We need to get to the bottom of this. Do we? And I think I even tried to help the party to just lay out the 3 things.
Yeah, I think one of the plans was like kill him and leave him buried in snow.
Right. that actually, I think that might have, that might have come after, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, because after you had already kind of entangled Shandar. So finally, I think you guys are about ready to take a long rest and hit the road the next morning and go to Targus. I mean, through Bryn Shandar, go to Targus. Like, it was close to that being the resolution to this.
Yeah, so we actually thought about it, talked, and so we were thinking we're going to chase these guys down. They headed in the way of Bryn Shandar to head over to Targos, and I think that's where Cleo got it, or Sunflower got it in her mind about Bryn Shandar. But we were already far behind, and looking back, whenever you explain the time frame, we were at least 5 hours behind these guys because of all of the things that had happened, the discussions, things like that. And honestly, it didn't really make sense. But we were ready to take a rest and be done. We went and got Fef.
That's right, Fef. That was a really fun moment for me because I got to reveal a little bit from one of those eventualities, or one of those potentialities that never is gonna never happen and never now will happen in our adventure. And so
the fox,
which is the fox. Yeah, so the first time you guys met Fef, he was like heading out of the forest by Goodmead, and he was like, yo, there's some bodies out there you should take a look at. And at the time he had a live fox that he had trapped, and you guys were I would like to maybe go back and watch that moment and find that clip, because I would just like to see what your guys' reaction to that was, because you guys basically, I think, did not react to that in any way and just ignored the fact that he had a live fox, because you guys were like, oh shit, bodies, and then you're like rushing after the bodies, and Fef goes back into town. But as I told you guys during the session, if you had a Chwinga with you, which you do, and you meet up with Fef, and you can buy the fox off him for a gold apiece, and the Chwinga and the fox become like best friends, and the Chwinga rides the fox around like a horse. And you guys were pretty and that's written into the adventure, which is even more interesting to me.
That's crazy.
And you guys were pretty disappointed. I think that was not a thing that was ever going to happen now. So when you met Fef, he was wearing like a beautiful fox skin cap.
Yeah. I believe Jordy said to him, "Nice hat."
But yeah, you and the reason you get Fef is because you ask Olivessa, like, listen, Olivessa, we're going to leave. To go and try to track down, see what's happening, go to Targus, try to find what's happening at the source. But we're afraid for your safety, so is there anybody in town that you trust? And she said, yeah, I trust Fef. So you go get Fef, and he's with Olivessa. And I think basically at this point, Cleo throws out this idea, which becomes the thing that actually happens instead of this trip to Goodmead. Is this called Cleo Has a Plan, Vlor?
Yeah, this is the moment when the plan is hatched. It's such a great moment, and it's fantastic.
Right, let's watch the clip.
Putting him under the ice where nobody's gonna find him.
Yeah.
What if I used enthralling performance in College of Glamour to like make him charmed by me? But it lasts an entire hour, so anything that I do, say, or anything...
Look at your eyebrows there, Vlor. You're like...
Basically entranced by.
Okay.
So he should want to tell me the truth if he, like, loves me.
And look, everybody's like, oh. Yeah, Jackson's like, this is good.
That's really good.
Let me copy, paste in our little chat what this is, because it's long. Enthralling performance.
Plus, that's something we could do, like, right now. Nip it in the bud.
I would have to somehow get him in a room.
That doesn't hurt anybody. Well,
Yeah,
he's downstairs right now and getting drunk.
Yep. Yeah, you mentioned last session afterwards about using that in some way. I think
and putting him under the
Wow,
ice.
Sunflower, well done.
Yeah, that was
Well
that was the moment. It just, well, we didn't know that she had that. So
Yeah,
when
like,
she brought it up,
it's
it was like
so funny to watch now because she's just like, everybody else is just like, okay, blah 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 blah, and then she's just like out of nowhere, what about enthralling performance? And everybody's like, nothing. It's kind of like unheard at first, and then she starts to explain the spell, and your eyebrows go up, and Jackson's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So really cool moment for sure. And long story short, the enthralling performance works. She gets Shandar under her spell and gets him back up to her room at the mead hall.
Yeah, she gets him drunk.
Gets him drunk.
Yeah.
Dances for him, is plying him with compliments. Like, it's pretty easily understood that the best way to Shandar's heart is to tell him how great he is. And so that's basically what she spends the evening doing. Gets him back up to her room and like ties him up, blindfolds him under the pretense of some sex probably. And
so I believe she already had him under the enthralling performance whenever she did the tying him up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Got him drunk and up to the room because apparently it's easy to get a guy up to a room. And then she does the enthralling performance, and that's the next clip. And it was a long shot. I mean, yeah, Cleo's pretty good. Apparently this is part of her character and part of things that she does. And we didn't know that. None of us knew that this was something that she
That's true.
does.
That's true. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember what you guys know and what I know. Yeah. All right, let's watch this. This is called When the Long Shot Works.
Spell save is 14.
Okay,
My
Shandar.
save DC? Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so Shandar has a 0 modifier, so this is just going to be a straight D20 for me. Shandar is drunk, so he's going to make the save with disadvantage, but I'm going to use my pluses here. So we're going to roll 2 D20s.
Damn it, Waffle Cone.
I have a +6 to this roll. So we're going to add +6 to the lowest of these two. And if you'll take a kind look at the screen, I rolled a natural 1 for a 7, which will be a fail. Shandar is enthralled by you.
I mean, I don't blame him after my dance moves. Spell save
Damn,
is 14.
dude. Natural
Okay.
1
My
with
DC?
disadvantage. Feels bad, man.
I mean, so I think it's important to point out that when I did the Zone of Truth, you were super excited when he passed his save.
Mm-hmm.
And with this one, it looked like you were trying really hard not to let him be entranced. And I mean, I get it. It's very important. This revelation is, changing for the course of this town. And it's funny to see, that just this one little roll.
So, I mean, there are, in my mind, I don't know if it's actually rules as written, but in my mind, they're like every advantage or disadvantage I gave myself during those rolls for him made sense to me. So when you first cast Zone of Truth, he wasn't drunk.
No.
And so he got no kind of disadvantage there, but I also didn't boost his roll at all. I think I just rolled high. But I mean, I didn't fudge that roll. Like if he would have failed it, it would have I was prepared to have him tell you the truth right then and there.
Yeah.
Was it more fun that it happened this way? I think so, sure. But you know, I did give myself disadvantage on that roll because he was drunk, like super drunk, and she made the plan to get him super drunk specifically for this purpose. So, but then I did use my pluses, even though they wound up not mattering because I rolled a natty 1. But in any case, after she already knows about this a little bit about the Zentarum, but then she is like, lean in close. Let me tell you about the Zentarum.
And that's where the episode cut out.
Yeah, and that's right where that first session ended. And so we've dipped into the second session a little bit in some of our chattings here.
I just have to say that was one of the best cliffhangers that you had.
I try so hard for a good cliffhanger.
It was perfect. I'm not going to give it away because people, you need to watch that. Just that whole sequence of events from the time that Cleo came up with the plan was just a masterpiece. And then into the first half of the next session was just amazing.
It was fun.
People, you got to watch that. It was perfect. The cliffhanger was great.
At the end of the cliffhanger, you were like, I think you literally said, no, but I want to keep playing D&D.
Yeah.
I would like to continue to play Dungeons and Dragons Fish Suit. Yeah, that was a good one. And it's so funny because you guys know that I had to come up with that cliffhanger off the cuff because up to that point, up to a half an hour before that happened, the plan was something so wildly different. I mean, I had a whole ending planned for if you went to Bryn Shander. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing. So I had to kind of come up with something a little juicy to end it on. And you guys set it up, and, I hit it. To move us to have the cliffhanger of, basically Shandar ready to talk about the Zentarum. We began the next day with a little bit of a little pre-written, not too much, not a flashback, but just Shandar kind of talking about the Zentarum. And he kind of makes himself up to be a big shot in the organization. It's he talks about, it's this clandestine, every man for himself in this evil, this darkness. It's fuck everybody else, take what I can get, keep it to myself. Maybe I'll be the one of the lucky ones who survives this eternal darkness. So pretty bleak stuff.
Yeah.
Cleo's in there alone, obviously, at this point, and she's like, oh.
With the door unlocked.
Hey. Oh, yeah, and Jordy's outside.
Yeah, in the hallway.
And Cleo's like, alrighty, now what?
Yeah, so she is in there doing her dancing, performing. Apparently they're fully clothed the entire time.
Yes, this is a PG-13 rated.
Yeah,
D&D.
nothing actually happened. Cleo is the biggest tease. So, but she gets the information, and there's a series of events where she invites Jordy in.
That's right. Yeah, Jordy comes in, and Jordy's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. And
then she's like, go get Kendar, go get the rest of the party. So then Jordy's like, okay, and he kind of like shuffles out. She's in there, and she's like basically having Shandar repeat all this stuff that he said about, he hired the that may be a point that we missed in the show here, Laura, but that it's ultimately Shandar reveals that he was part of he went to Targus to get these raiders to come and act like they were gonna attack the town, and he would fight them off and become the speaker. He's working with the Zentarum, and these men that came to the town were from the Zentarum. That's what she finds out.
Yeah.
So when Jordy comes in, she has him basically repeat those facts. Jordy's like, I don't know what to do. He runs over to you, to Gusto, and to Kindar, who are with Olivessa and Thef. And that you guys think it's very important that some of the somebody from Goodmead hears this information, so it's not just like this third party, these kind of strangers who, you've only known for 2 weeks maximum. It's you want to hear this with your own ears. So you get Fef in there, and Cleo has him repeat. Again, Shandar's super drunk, so he has no idea what the fuck's going on.
For the third time? For the third time.
Yeah. And because she's like, oh, you're so big and strong. Tell me how big and strong you are and how important and whatever, and that's like feeding right into it. So Fef hears it and is like, I'm going to slit this dude's throat where he stands. Yeah. And I think Jordy or Gusto is like, who was it that like...
Kendar was right there with him.
They get him and they're like, and Fef is like, that guy's gonna fucking die for, like he was really pissed off. As you would be, Yeah. As upon hearing that. So then you guys are like, okay, now what do we do?
We just brushed over the clip. So, so when Jordy goes and gets the group and we come back, that's when Kendar comes in, and that's where the next clip comes up.
I'm just kind of walking in here knowing that you wanted me, so
kind of look at him, and I just like point at Kendar, and I just go like mouth to him like, I don't know what to
do. we didn't plan for our plan going exactly as we'd hoped.
I just knew that like Leo just saw an opportunity and went with it, and then she's like, well, she would like to kill him, but she has to go with a reason in the group, so she thought that maybe like Kendar would be a good person to put some like logical thought into her process instead of like, oh, he's tied up, let's maybe just stab him and put everyone out of their misery.
Guys, terrible news, our plan worked exactly as we hoped. It was funny. I think later on in the campaign too, I compared it to the dog who caught the car. It's like, yes, you guys are there. You got exactly what you wanted, but then you're like, well, what the hell do we do now?
Yeah.
Ultimately, everybody gets shuffled out of the room. Would you have something to add?
Well, I think it's funny to point out that Cleo, she gets pretty dark in some of these little talks that we have, where she's like, yeah, we can enthrall him and seduce him, interrogate him, slit his throat, spill his guts, and it just goes from like, oh yeah, this is a good plan, to really dark and murdering this guy. And it was like, oh my god, no. But
it's she is like, so here's what we could do. We could, arrest him, or we could slit his throat. It's just like just a list of things he could do to Shandar.
Yeah, it's great.
I think that this is one of those ones where this first plan was great, and then the rest of the plan was kind of like, let's go downstairs and see what happens now.
We didn't think it through. Right. We weren't really expecting anything to work, and she pulled it off. I mean, this whole session was Cleo shining. I mean, that's why I only did 2 clips, and then I've got some timestamps that we could look at. But this whole session was just Cleo being badass.
Yeah, like just solving this conundrum in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, if you want to see a plan come together and actually work, this is the session to look at.
Yeah,
and look at
Cleo. And like, it's funny because it's like I never really, Vlora as a DM, I never hear a plan and go, oh yeah, okay, I'll allow that solution to work, or something. Like, I'm very much like, let's see what that looks like. Let's see what you think that looks like, and then I'll make a decision based on how well I think that would actually have worked, or you know what I mean? Or the dice will make those kinds of decisions. So you guys go downstairs without really too much of a plan. I think the rough idea was that Cleo was going to just continue to get Shandar drunk, try to incriminate him and his whole group of friends in some way, and just try to get more information from that area. Whereas meanwhile downstairs, you, Gusto, Fef, and Kindar are starting this like information
And Jordy.
campaign. Well, Jordy was like he was sort of like the bouncer, I feel like,
Yeah.
or like was like not gonna let anybody get away. But you guys,
Kindar got his place back at the bar.
that's right. Kindar was doing his bar tricks again.
A fun note that he did such a great job with the bar scene that he ended up earning 10 golden tips.
That's right.
Which I thought was great.
That's right. I just rolled some dice. I was like, I didn't get to roll any dice during this session, so here you go. I'll give you some money.
Yeah.
So Fef starts to go around to the townspeople and kind of whispering to them, and there's a lot of, like, I try to explain to you guys, at this point everybody kind of thinks that Shandar is the hero still, and so that's all happening in the background while Cleo's trying to get more and more information, and she does actually end up with another piece of info about Shandar Froth. Do you remember what that piece was?
Yes, I actually wrote that down in my notes. So turns out Shandar was blackmailed. After killing another dwarf when he was younger, he got blackmailed by the Xantarum, and he let out that the leader of the Xantarum was Narth, who is the town speaker of Targus.
Yeah. So you guys just found out that this has gone from beyond just a one person to a higher level conspiracy in 10 towns. So pretty cool moment. The consequences of that particular piece of information have not even begun to be felt in this campaign yet.
No, but there were so many questions brought up by that, because at that point we were all like, well, aren't they the ones sending the expedition up north?
That's right.
What if they're working with the Dorgar? What? And it was like, it was one of those mind-blowing moments where, like, oh my god, it's all connected. And this guy,
this fucking guy
led us to this, and
really because, like you said, because Cleo was so persistent that there was more here, and so she dug it up, and she got what she wanted out of it. Night goes on, and eventually I think that the mood in the room has started to turn a little bit. One of the things that Cleo notices first of all is that she's really worried that, all right, Shandar is part of the Xantarum. Maybe this whole group of lumberjacks, with their 7 bed tall bunk beds, which is canon from now on.
So there was a point in there where we were actually talking about the bunk beds, because I misheard when you were talking about 6 or 7, and you mentioned that if there was only 6 bunk beds, then the CR would be lower. Just so you know, 7 bunk beds is a higher CR than 6 bunk beds. It was
considered deadly rather than just very hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so these 7 lumberjacks live in a hut together on the edge of town, and they have a 7 bed tall bunk bed. They all sleep in. It's just so fucking stupid. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But Cleo discovers, like, pretty quickly and pretty easily that, and as I said it in the session, which is among the blind, the man with one eye is king. Well, among the idiots, the man with half of a thought in his head is king, and that's Shandar Froth. So, like, these...
I have to say that you spent 2 minutes telling us how stupid that whole crew was. I looked at the timestamps on it, and I was like, oh my god, 2 minutes of just going on about how stupid they are, and how Shandar barely is, like, above them because he's a little bit smarter, even though he's a moron. I thought it was fantastic.
I picture, like, just, I mean, let's just say that there was a group like this in my my high school, and I knew these. I knew the people involved in this group, and I knew the Shandar Froth of that group. So
Oh,
I'm
geez.
very familiar with. Yeah, so like these guys are basically, and the reason I think I spent so much time on that is because I really wanted you guys to trust the fact that there is not a huge Zentarum conspiracy in Goodmead, that it's this kind of lone actor, and that he is such a low level on the totem pole that, you know what I mean? Like that's gonna make you. You're gonna have decisions to make about Shandar still that you haven't made yet. And I wanted you to make sure that you had that information going into making those kinds of decisions, the life and death and the fate of Shandar, ultimate fate of Shandar Froth, and what that's going to be, and that's going to be clearly up to your party. At that point, Cleo is like had enough, and she pulls the trap and starts to tighten the noose. And so she pulls out the coin bag and she goes, "Oh, sweetheart, I found this bag of yours." And then I don't remember exactly how it goes down here, Floor. Do you remember?
I do. So we talked about this, and Cleo was still like, I guess this is what I'm doing. And, quite loudly was like, hey, isn't this your purse? Or, hey, I think you dropped this, trying to get the attention of other people in the room, because, we had Fef doing the Whisper campaign, sowing seeds of doubt. And he's like, yeah, that's mine. And then this leads right into the next clip. There were some shouts from other people trying to, say, hey, isn't that the logo of the Zentarum? Just putting them on the spot. And that's when he knew he was busted.
All right, let's watch the clip loudly.
So I say that is the symbol of the Zentarum on it. Like I'd say that like as if like I recognize it.
I'm just a logger. I don't know what symbols are.
Could Jordan chime in too and be like, since she asked like where the coin's, like, hey, that coin's from Targos.
I start to slowly back up as people are saying this stuff, though. Like, I'm not about to be right in this man's face as people are starting to get in his face.
And so you're backing up, but I feel like you're backing away, Cleo. And this is just in my mind's eye. You're backing away, and Shandar's looking at you like incredulous and pissed as the enthralling performance like wears off, and you just give him like a little bye, like a little finger trill.
Finger guns.
Yeah, exactly. And you like back into the like Homer backing into the bush. You like back into the crowd, and the crowd starts to like close in on Shandar loudly. That's so good. There's just some moments that players offer up that are so cinematically like clear in my mind, and that is absolutely one of them, where the enthralling performance wears off. He looks just at Cleo like, you've got to be kidding me. How did you do this? And then she's like, bye, finger gun, she says.
And then there was another moment just after that where Jordy was at the door because he knew something was going to happen and wanted to make sure nobody got out. Where a guy, one of the lumberjacks, goes walking up to like leave, sees Jordy, and zoops back around and heads the opposite way.
Nope, never mind. I wasn't leaving.
And shout out to GH for getting us the gifts.
So Homer disappearing into the bush, and the baby that's like...
Yeah.
What happened next was pretty badass. I think of a campaign of moments that are I'll remember for a long time. This is going to be one that I'll remember, and it'll have reverberations for the very rest of the time you keep playing this campaign, which is that Gusto goes up and gets Olivessa. It's like, Olivessa, you need to be here for this. And actually, what did you guys just kind of threw Shandar in a closet at this point, right? Like he is.
Yeah, we tied him up.
He tied him up. He kept the townspeople from murdering him, which is what a lot of them wanted to do.
And Cleo went up to him and said something along the lines of, "What's wrong? You liked this a few hours ago," you know. And then he spits in her face,
yeah,
which was like, whoa. And then she takes the spit and slaps him with it, you know, which basically, I guess, took Jordy out of wanting to like kill him right away.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, at this point, we were done with them. Everybody knew. We tied him up, threw him in a closet, put the chair in front of the door, so he couldn't get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Somebody farted in there and then closed the door, put the chair up.
Yeah.
Jordy, I would imagine it was. If anybody did that, it would be Jordy.
Yeah.
All right. So ever since Olivessa, ever since you completed your quest in Olivessa. In Goodmead for Olivessa to get the mead back, the stolen mead supply, Olivessa dropped this idea that Jordy be the town speaker. That they need a new town speaker because when you guys got to Goodmead, remember what had just happened? The town speaker had been killed.
Yeah.
And so they were town speakerless, and the whole reason you had to go on the quest is because the thing that killed the town speaker had the mead, and so you had to go do all that stuff. So they needed a new town speaker. Olivessa's like, in Jordy, this guy is strong. He is a native of 10 towns. He is a good person, and he's what we need. And he can protect this town. And I think, you should be the town speaker. And since Olivessa dropped that idea, there's been one person in this party who has been a huge advocate of that decision, and that was Gusto. Gusto is like, yes, you should be the town speaker. 1,000% you should be the town speaker. Why are we even talking about this? Yes, you should be the town speaker.
Well, the motives are what gets it. I put it out there as Gusto is looking to make the dollar, and that's the reason. That's the reason for Jordy being town speaker. But underneath, it's a little bit more than that, but for everyone's perspective on it, it's Gusto trying to make a buck. He
Right.
needs to have somebody in power that is going to be conducive to his trading.
Just sign off on his expansion projects.
Yep.
Build the new stadium with tax money. So Gusto goes and gets Olivessa and is like, and it's like gets up on the table. It's like, people of Goodmead, you need to move past this. Tell me what your recollection of this, because you gave a tiny little speech before you made Olivessa get up there and get a speech, and I was like, oh god, now I have to give a speech.
Yeah. So I timestamped this because I got the timestamp because it was the next two clips are going to be too long to actually put in clip form. But it was fantastic. I get up there and I'm like, everybody look, being arrogant for one. I can tell you that. Arrogant AF. Saying, hey, we just saved your town. We just saved Olivessa, but we need to talk about, who's going to be town speaker. Obviously, this guy over here, who was the front runner, I guess. Yeah, no, he's a crook. Can't have him. Just trying to get the crowd on our side of, we're the town heroes. We're the actual heroes. We save lives and we do what's best for the town, and then pass it over to Olivessa because I know that she was looking to get Jordy to be town speaker. I wasn't involved in the conversation, but there was talk about it. And the other thing is, Jordy at the very beginning of the last session, Jordy had spoken to, or I think we were making our plans or something. Jordy spoke to Olivessa after she came to and talked to her about the trading as well. So I was like, what better way of getting this trading to happen than having Jordy as the town speaker? And I felt that there was a little bit of reluctance from Jordy because he had to go and be part of this group,
Right, yeah.
take care of the towns. But
so Olivessa gets up there, and of course this whole speech is ad-libbed by me, and I don't really remember what I said exactly, but basically I rabble-roused. I worked the crowd up into a sort of fever pitch and said, Goodmead needs a strong, honest leader who is not just a hero for Goodmead, but a hero for Icewind Dale, a hero for 10 towns.
Yep.
And I would rather my town speaker be out trying to put an end to this eternal curse that has fallen Icewind Dale than to be sitting in the mead hall and counting the money that we made from our trade.
It was funny because when she was talking, Cleo was like stepping forward. Oh, it's gonna be me.
Yeah, that's right. Cleo's like, oh my god, it's an honor just to be nominated. And then she's like, there's your speaker. There's your town speaker right there. And she points to Jordy, and the crowd is like, and then she's like, will you speak for us? And then basically how she frames it is that I will stay here as counsel to you. And Theth and I and other important people in Goodmead will make the decisions, but in name you will. And when this curse has been lifted, and when you have saved Icewind Dale, you will come back here and sit at the mead hall as our town speaker. And Jordy said, yeah. He said yes. Jordy is now the speaker of one of the 10 towns, and has the rights and privileges that come along with that title as well. You guys haven't even, begun to explore that part of it yet. And we ended actually on a little scene between Gusto and Olivessa.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool too. Nice little scene. First of all, Olivessa's getting down off the table after, the speech, and she basically is like, thank you to Gusto, because she knows that he's the one who really made this happen. And then you guys go back up to her room, and you were like, get ready, because things are going to be different. We're going to open up trade between Goodmead and Dugan's Hole, and that's just going to be the start. So get ready to dust off your old, to put away your old prejudices against this town and these people. And it's a new world out there, and you're going to have to learn to change with it. And she kind of takes you over to the window and points out at the water and said, that body of water is not called Red Waters for nothing. There's a lot of people's ancestors and family who fought and died, and those prejudices aren't going to go to bed easily, but we will try. And I trust you, and we'll try. And that's where we ended our second session. So,
actually, there was one little bit after that. Yeah. So after that, the next morning, we decided before we would head out, we decided to go and see about the wand and the pearl.
Oh, that's right. I completely forgot any of that happened.
I used my inspiration to remember that.
We had your unconscious and dying inspiration. Yeah. So you guys have had these really powerful items for quite a long time, and they've been unused because you're worried that they might still be cursed. And so you guys go out to the Shrine of the Flaming Sword, which is your pack and store, where you rent a storage shed for $40 a month.
It's an old temple.
Yeah, it's an old disused temple, and you guys have a big old jug of holiest water out there. Yep. And you end up pouring a bunch of it over these two items. One was the Pearl of Power, which I think just restores a spell slot once a day or something like that.
Yeah, I think you store a spell in it or something like that.
Yeah, a great item. It's like it's a
Yeah.
wondrous, powerful item. And the wand of the +1 wand of the War Mage, which is basically has Kindar's name engraved on the side of it because it's such a powerful spellcasting tool.
Yeah.
And so in order to get rid of the curse, I actually saw this very cinematically in my head too, Vlora. I don't know if you did as well when we were playing this out, but like the pouring of the water over these items, and they are like bubbling and smoking with this like corrupted energy that is gradually, as more and more of this like very holy water is poured on it, the curse just kind of falls away. And I think that Cleo has like a cup, a red solo cup maybe, of this like cursed liquid, which might be interesting to see how she deals with that, or what she does with it. I think she wants to feed it to Shandar. I think she wants to force feed it to Shandar.
Maybe.
But yeah, so we did end. I believe we ended right there. Then wasn't it, Vlora? After you recovered these two items and are no longer have the curse.
Yeah, we were handing out. I was trying to hand stuff over to Kindar, and Cleo was like, "Wait, what are you doing? These are my items."
Right.
And for the second time, I used command on her.
That's right, you commanded her. And actually, I'm thinking of it. She might have had an advantage on that because she is a Fey creature. I feel like she might have advantage on rolls that have to do with like mind controlling type spells.
Normally, it's like advantage on being charmed.
Just charmed.
But I don't think that's considered charmed. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah. But yeah, you succeed in commanding Cleo though, and she basically.
But it was just like quit.
Yeah. You
quit
told
fighting.
Her, you told her to quit, and she was like, "All right, fine." So
like you tell the kids.
So Cleo ends up keeping the Pearl of Power, and the Wand of the War Mage goes to Kindar, and he definitely is the one who should have an item like that.
Yeah, I think I think that plays well to the dynamic of Gusto and Cleo, who are basically brother and sister at this point.
They are in the backseat, and like Cleo's on my side. Yeah.
And Cleo's over there with her finger right next to his face. Don't touch me if I don't touch you. Don't touch me if I don't touch you. I'm not touching you.
For sure. That's the dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to more of this. I'm excited to see what you guys will do next. When we left, I don't think there was actually much of a plan in place right now. I think that in general, you might be, as a party, being pushed to Targus because you know that there's some shit going down there. So that may be your next the next place you travel to. But listen, in order to travel to Targus, you're going to be traveling through Bryn Shander, and who knows what can happen. Anything can happen in Bryn Shander. You also have a quest to turn in Bryn Shander. That's going to be like, are we going to give up Clyde? Like, is that going to be a thing? I don't know about that so much anymore.
I won't use command on that one. That is totally going to be up to Cleo whether she gives up Clyde or not. I don't think that's my place.
So yeah, we'll revisit this. Our next session of Frost Maiden is going to be on May the 10th, Monday, May 10th, and we start that at about 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. Vlora, we do have another exciting thing coming up, though, which is our brand new campaign. I'm gonna log out, and I'm gonna show you the title, a cover, new campaign, which is called Placeholder Name. Because on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, that is May the 4th. May the 4th be with us, Vlora, as we do our session 0 of Storm King's Thunder. Right on my Twitch. And of course, you'll start seeing those episodes on YouTube shortly after. Let's go look at the page here. Look at that Storm King's Thunder art. Let's go, Vlora. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I am so excited. There's going to be some shenanigans. There's going to be some feels. We're going to hit you with all kinds of stuff on this one.
And also, it's going to be fun to note that these sessions will be turned into a podcast, which should be available wherever you get podcasts. So we're going to be working on that really hard to bring you just the audio of it. So if you don't have time to sit down for 2 hours and watch a show, you can listen to 2 hours of the actual play. So we'll have more information about that. But you can tune in for the first session of this Tuesday, May 4th at 7 p.m. We're going to be doing some roles for our characters. We're going to be learning a little bit about our new characters. And then we're going to be working on the scene a little bit just to bring it all together. So all halfling characters deep time. Laura, it's always fun to spend Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning, I should say, talking about D&D with you, my friend. I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.
You too. One thing before we go, I just want to point out, if anybody wants to see the speech between Olivessa and Jordy when he becomes the town speaker, you look at hour 1 minute 48 of the VOD, and then the discussion of trading for Gusto and Olivessa was at hour 1 minute 56.
If I was better at YouTube or was not as lazy, I would put timestamps in the description below, but I'm not gonna, so don't look for those because they're not gonna be there.
I
Laura,
got the info.
Until next time, may all your 20s be natural.
And your plans actually work.
Goodbye, everyone.